Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
This video is for informational use only. I do not condone or advocate using this information for nefarious or unlawful activities.
Hello and welcome to this video. We're back with some more Hunter S. Thompson, Kingdom of Fear. I'm going to try my best to keep these videos between 15 and 20 minutes long, give or take a couple minutes either way. So let's get back into it.
HST. P.S. The difference between the almost right word and the right word is the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. A quote from Mark Twain. Part 1. When the going gets weird, the weird turn pro.
Which is one of my favorite Thompson quotes.
There are no jokes. Truth is the funniest joke of all. A quote from Muhammad Ali.
And that too is a great quote. Muhammad Ali was an interesting person. I don't think he, or at least not in this particular book, shows up. There's some really unexpected people that show up in this book that Thompson interacted with, but I don't think Ali was one of them.
The Mailbox, Louisville, summer of 1946. My parents were decent people, and I was raised, like my friends, to believe that police were our friends and protectors. The badge was a symbol of extremely high authority, perhaps the highest.
I have to admit, I was raised that way too.
Of all. Nobody ever asked why. It was one of those unnatural questions that are better left alone. If you had to ask that, you were sure as hell guilty of something and probably should have been put behind bars a long time ago.
And that tends to be the prevailing theory of some of the more popular political parties running around America today.
It was a no-win situation. My first face-to-face confrontation with the FBI occurred when I was 9 years old. Two grim-looking agents came to our house and terrified my parents by saying that I was a prime suspect in the case of a federal mailbox being turned over in the path of a speeding bus.
And, yeah, having worked corrections 25 years of my life, knowing the kind of tactics used to intimidate and scare people, I imagine law enforcement, especially at the federal level, has just insanely way to do it.
It was a federal offense, they said, and carried a 5-year prison sentence. "Oh no," wailed my mother. "Not in prison. That's insane. He's only a child. How could he have known?" "The warning is clearly printed on the mailbox," said the agent in the gray suit. "He's old enough to read." "Not necessarily," my father said sharply. "How do you know he's not blind or a moron?" "Are you a moron, son?" the agent asked me. "Are you blind? Were you just pretending to read the newspaper when we came in?" He pointed to the Louisville Courier-Journal on the couch.
Yeah, cops being cops, regardless if they're, city, county, state, or federal.
"That was only the sports section," I told him. "I can't read the other stuff." "See," my father said, "I told you he was a moron." "Ignorance of the law is no excuse," the brown suit agent replied. Tampering with the U.S. mail is a federal offense punishable under federal law.
See, that goes to the whole thing that cops have to have some. If cops stop somebody, get called out somewhere, or do something, they feel that they have to find a criminal. They have to find a victim. They have to find, the good and the bad of the situation. And in this case, they're looking for a 9-year-old criminal.
That mailbox was badly damaged. Mailboxes were huge back then. They were heavy green vaults that stood like Roman mile markers at corners on the neighborhood bus routes and were rarely, if ever, moved. I was barely tall enough to reach the mail drop slot, much less big enough to turn the bastard over and into the path of a bus. It was clearly impossible that I could have committed this crime without help, and that was what they wanted.
Yes, they want you to turn on your friends. Which, depending on the circumstance, high crimes, murder, rape, incest, things like that, yeah, I can see turning your friends in. But something like flipping over a mailbox, I don't know. I remember, we had the big gigantic blue ones that, when I grew up, I don't remember them being green. I remember them being blue, but that was in the 70s and 80s. But, yeah.
Names and addresses, along with a total confession. They already knew I was guilty, they said, because other culprits had squealed on me. My parents hung their heads, and I saw my mother weeping. I had done it, of course, and I had done it with plenty of help. It was carefully plotted and planned, a deliberate ambush that we set up and executed with the fiendish skill that smart 9-year-old boys are capable of.
Which, yeah, a childhood friend of mine that I'm still in contact with, a good friend of mine. Yeah, it sounds like some of the crap we pulled. Yeah, there was a time in our teenage years, if we would have spilt the beans on one, we would have both would have been up shit creek for a long, long while.
When they have too much time on their hands and a lust for revenge on a rude and stupid bus driver who got a kick out of closing his doors and pulling away just as we staggered to the top of the hill and begged him to let us climb on. He was new on the job, probably a brain-damaged substitute, filling in for our regular driver, who was friendly and kind and always willing to wait a few seconds for children rushing to school. Every kid in the neighborhood agreed that this new swine of a driver was a sadist who deserved to be punished, and the Hawks AC were the ones to do it.
And, having been a attendant on a bus, a disciplinary attendant on a school bus, and working with different bus drivers, I can wholeheartedly understand both the bus driver's point of view and the kid's point of view.
We saw it more as a duty than a prank. It was a brazen insult to the honor of the whole neighborhood. We would need ropes and pulleys and certainly no witnesses to do the job properly. We had to tilt the iron monster so far over that it was perfectly balanced to fall instantly, just as the fool zoomed into the bus stop at his usual arrogant speed. All that kept the box more or less upright was my grip on a long, invisible string that we had carefully stretched all the way from the corner and across about 50 feet of grass lawn to where we crouched out of sight in some bushes. The rig worked perfectly. The bastard was right on schedule and going too fast to stop when he saw the thing falling in front of him. The collision made a horrible noise like a bomb going off or a freight train exploding in Germany.
I can see that, though. I would be a liar if I said I never did anything to that scale of petty revenge, but at the same time, I'm not going to admit to anything.
That is how I remember it, at least. It was the worst noise I'd ever heard. People ran screaming out of their houses like chickens gone crazy with fear. They howled at one another as the driver stumbled out of his bus and collapsed in a heap on the grass. The bus was empty of passengers, as usual at the far end of the line. The man was not injured, but he went into a foaming rage when he spotted us fleeing down the hill and into a nearby alley. He knew in a flash who had done it, and so did most of the neighbors. "Why deny it, Hunter?" said one of the FBI agents. "We know exactly what happened up there on that corner on Saturday. Your buddies already confessed, son. They squealed on you. We know you did it, so don't lie to us now and make things worse for yourself."
See, that's... Yeah, when we did stuff in the penitentiary, investigated, where inmates had, transgressed against the rules and stuff. Yeah, that my opinion, just my opinion here, take it for what it's worth, but yeah, there's only about a 25 to 30% chance when they tell you your accomplices squealed on you that they actually did. I have found that more than likely, if they're telling you that, they're trying to get somebody to squeal on somebody so they can, pry in deeper.
"A nice kid like you shouldn't have to go to federal prison." He smiled again and winked at my father, who responded with a snarl. "Tell the truth, damn it! Don't lie to these men. They have witnesses." The FBI agents nodded grimly at each other and moved as if to take me into custody. It was a magic moment in my life, a defining instant for me or any other 9-year-old boy growing up in the 1940s after World War II.
Yeah, see, the methods, I should say. We'll say methods. We won't say tricks, because tricks has a negative connotation to it. But the methods that cops use today are tried and true old ones.
And I clearly recall thinking, well, this is it. These are G-men. Whack! Like a flash of nearby lightning that lights up the sky for 3 or 4 terrifying split seconds before you hear the thunder, a matter of zeptoseconds in real time. But when you're a 9-year-old boy with two full-grown FBI agents about to seize you and clap you in federal prison, a few quiet zeptoseconds can seem like the rest of your life.
And those exact seconds have saved me more than once.
And that's how it felt to me that day. And in grim retrospect, I was right. They had me, dead to rights. I was guilty. Why deny it? Confess now and throw myself on their mercy. Or what?
I always like the or, especially in these types of situations.
What if I didn't confess? That was the question. And I was a curious boy, so I decided, as it were, to roll the dice and ask them a question. Who, I said. What witnesses? It was not a hell of a lot to ask under those circumstances, and I really did want to know exactly who among my best friends and blood brothers in the dreaded Hawks AC had cracked under pressure and betrayed me to these thugs, these pompous brutes and toadies with badges and plastic cards in their wallets that said they worked for J. Edgar Hoover and that they had the right and even the duty to put me in jail because they'd heard a rumor in the neighborhood that some of my boys had gone belly up and rolled on me. What?
Yep. Sometimes when you ask simple little questions, you throw their whole plan into crazy out of bounds stuff.
No. Impossible. Or not likely, anyway. Hell, nobody squealed on the Hawks AC, or not on its president, anyway. Not on me. So I asked again. Witnesses? What witnesses? And that was all it took. as I recall. We observed a moment of silence, as my old friend Edward Bennett Williams would say. Nobody spoke, especially not me. And when my father finally broke the eerie silence...
See, that is a perfect example of knowing when to keep your mouth shut. And if you do open it, how to open it and why to open it and what to let come out of the mouth once you have opened it.
Silence, there was doubt in his voice. I think my son has a point, officer. Just exactly who have you talked to? I was about to ask that myself. Not Duke, I shouted. He went to Lexington with his father, and not Ching, and not Jay. Shut up, said my father. Be quiet and let me handle this, you...
Yeah, this is where the it's time to shut your mouth portion of this drill comes in handy.
Fool. And that's what happened, folks. We never saw those FBI agents again. Never. And I learned a powerful lesson. Never believe the first thing an FBI agent tells you about anything, especially not if he seems to believe you are guilty of a crime. Maybe he has no evidence. Maybe he's bluffing. Maybe you are innocent.
Or maybe they're just not smart enough. Or they're too smart. There's no telling.
Maybe. The law can be hazy on these things. But it is definitely worth a roll. In any case, nobody was arrested for that alleged incident. The FBI agents went away, the U.S. mailbox was put back up on its heavy iron legs, and we never saw that drunken swine of a substitute bus driver again.
And I think this would be a good place to end this particular installment of Kingdom of Fear. Hope everyone out there is enjoying life. Hope things are good. Hopefully, I'm at the time of recording. I am planning out more videos to record and upload. So hopefully, I can get a good rhythm going on uploads. So until next time, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?